The alarm bells rang through the bridge of the UES Defiant as Captain Jake Morrison rushed to his command chair. His ship floated in the cold darkness near Neptune, far from Earth where nobody would expect to find humanity's most powerful warship. The massive vessel had been hiding in the outer solar system for 3 years, along with 12 other ships just like it. "What do we have, Lisa?" Morrison asked his tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Lisa Grant. She was bent over her console, her face lit by the blue glow of incoming data. "Sir, we're getting a signal on all frequencies. It's not from Earth or any of our colonies. This is coming from way outside our solar system," Grant replied, her voice tight with excitement. Morrison felt his heart skip a beat. For over 200 years, humanity had been listening to space, hoping to hear from other intelligent life. They had built their secret fleet just in case that day ever came. Now it seemed like it finally had. "Put it on speakers," Morrison ordered. The bridge fell silent as static filled the air. Then, through the noise came a voice speaking in a language none of them had ever heard before. But somehow the words made sense. The aliens were using some kind of universal translation system. "This is High Counselor Zeth-Ka of the Zelani Republic. Our world is dying. Our cities burn. Our people flee in terror. We send this message to any who might hear it across the stars. Please, if you have the power to help, we beg you to remember us. We are peaceful people. We have never known war until now. But the Vorthan Dominion has come to our world with fire and death." Morrison exchanged glances with his crew. Chief Engineer Pete Sullivan stepped forward from his station, his weathered face grim. "Captain, I'm picking up coordinates with this transmission. They're coming from the Kepler 442 system, about 1,200 light-years from here," Sullivan reported. The alien voice continued, growing more desperate with each word. "We have no weapons that can stop them. Our ships are built for exploration and trade, not war. The Vorthans have destroyed our orbital defenses. Their ground forces march through our cities. We estimate we have perhaps days before our civilization ends forever." Morrison felt a chill run down his spine. He had trained for this moment his entire career, but hearing the actual desperation in an alien voice was something no simulation could prepare him for. "We have detected signs of advanced civilizations in nearby star systems," the voice went on. "If you are listening, please know that we called ourselves the Zelani. We loved music and art. We built beautiful cities and explored the mysteries of science. We dreamed of meeting other peoples among the stars in friendship and peace. Do not let our deaths be meaningless." The transmission cut to static, then repeated from the beginning. Morrison realized the aliens were broadcasting this message on a loop, sending it out to every corner of the galaxy in hopes that someone, somewhere, would hear it and care enough to act. Communications Specialist Ben Turner looked up from his station. "Sir, I'm analyzing the signal. It's incredibly sophisticated. These aliens have technology we can barely understand, but they're being wiped out by this Vorthon Dominion." Morrison stood and walked to the main view screen, which showed the cold stars beyond Neptune. Somewhere out there, an entire civilization was dying while humanity hid in the darkness. The secret fleet had been built for exactly this kind of situation, but actually using it would change everything. "Get me a direct line to Luna Command," Morrison ordered. "Priority 1. Within minutes, the face of Commander Helen Roberts appeared on the screen. She was sitting in the command center on Earth's moon, surrounded by banks of computers and communication equipment. Her expression was serious as always, but Morrison could see the tension in her eyes. "Commander Roberts, are you receiving the alien transmission?" Morrison asked. "We've been monitoring it for the past hour, Jake. Every listening post from here to Mars is picking it up. This is what we've been preparing for," Roberts replied. "What are your orders, ma'am?" Roberts was quiet for a long moment. Morrison knew she was carrying the weight of humanity's future on her shoulders. For generations, Earth had followed a policy of careful isolation, building their technology in secret while pretending to be a peaceful, barely space-capable civilization. Now they faced a choice that would expose everything. "Stand by, Captain. I'm calling an emergency session of the Global Defense Council. President Adams needs to hear this transmission personally." The screen went dark, leaving Morrison alone with his thoughts and his crew. Around him, the bridge crew continued their work, but he could feel the tension in the air. Everyone knew they were living through a moment that would be remembered in history books. Dr. Lucy White, the ship's science officer, approached Morrison's chair. "Captain, I've been analyzing the technical data included in the transmission. These Zilani are remarkably advanced in some areas. Their medical technology appears to be centuries ahead of ours, but their weapons technology is almost non-existent." "What about these Vorthans?" Morrison asked. "The data suggests they're a conquest-based empire. They've destroyed at least 12 civilizations in the past century. Their technology focuses entirely on warfare and resource extraction. They're like a plague that sweeps through space, consuming everything in their path." Morrison nodded grimly. He had read about empires like this in Earth's own history, the strong preying on the weak, taking what they wanted and destroying the rest. It was exactly the kind of threat humanity's secret fleet had been designed to face. The communication system crackled to life again. "Captain Morrison, this is Luna Command. President Adams has made her decision. You are to take the Defiant and proceed to the Kepler 442 system immediately. You'll be joined by the Vengeance and the Justice. Your mission is to assess the situation and provide aid to the Zilani people." Morrison felt his pulse quicken. After years of training and preparation, they were finally going to act. "Understood, Command. What are our rules of engagement?" "You are authorized to use whatever force is necessary to protect innocent life. The Global Defense Council has voted unanimously. Humanity will not stand by while an entire civilization is murdered." Around the bridge, Morrison could see his crew straightening in their chairs. This was it. This was why they had spent years in the cold darkness of space, training for a war they hoped would never come. "Helm, set course for rendezvous with the Vengeance and Justice. Once we're formed up, we jump to Kepler 442, Morrison ordered. "Aye, sir." Course laid in. Morrison sat back in his command chair and watched the stars wheel by as his ship changed course. Somewhere out there, people were dying. People who had never hurt anyone, who had spent their lives creating beauty and seeking knowledge. But they had made one mistake. They had called for help, and humanity was going to answer. The 3 human warships moved through space like silent hunters. Captain Jake Morrison watched from the bridge of the UES Defiant as the other 2 vessels took their positions. The UES Vengeance, commanded by Captain Sam Wright, moved to his left. The UES Justice, under Captain Kate Thompson, held position on his right. Each ship was a masterpiece of human engineering. They had been built in secret over many years, using technology that Earth's allies had never seen. The ships were fast, powerful, and deadly, but they had never been tested in real combat. "Status report," Morrison called out to his crew. "All systems ready, Captain," Chief Engineer Pete Sullivan replied from his station. "The jump drive is charged and ready. We can reach Kepler 442 in 3 weeks." 3 weeks. Morrison hoped it would not be too late. The alien transmission had been repeating for hours now, but each time seemed weaker than the last. The Zilani were running out of time. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Grant looked up from her tactical station. "Sir, I've been studying the data about these Vorthans. They're not just conquerors. They're destroyers. They take what they want from a planet, then leave it dead." Morrison nodded. He had been reading the same reports. The Vorthan dominion was like a disease that spread from star to star. They had wiped out entire civilizations without a second thought. "Captain," Communications Specialist Ben Turner called out, "I'm getting new transmissions from the Zilani. They're getting weaker." "Put it through." The bridge filled with the sound of the alien voice. But now it was different. There was more fear, more desperation. "This is Defense Coordinator Yul Ren. Our capital city has fallen. The Vorthans are moving toward our outer settlements. We are evacuating our people to the mountains, but we cannot hold much longer. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need help now." The transmission ended with the sound of explosions in the background. Morrison clenched his fists. Every minute they delayed meant more innocent people would die. "All ships prepare for jump," Morrison ordered into his communication system. "Defiant, this is Vengeance. "We're ready," came Captain Wright's voice. "Justice here. All systems green," reported Captain Thompson. Morrison took a deep breath. Once they made this jump, there would be no turning back. Humanity would no longer be able to hide in the shadows. The galaxy would know they existed, and they would know humans were willing to fight. "Execute jump in 3, 2, 1, jump!" Space twisted around the three ships as they entered faster than light travel. The stars stretched into lines of light, then disappeared entirely. The ships were now traveling through a dimension where normal physics did not apply. During the 3-week journey, the crew prepared for what was coming. Morrison spent hours in the training rooms, running combat simulations with his officers. They practiced fighting against larger fleets, defending planets, and rescuing civilians. Dr. Lucy White, the science officer, worked around the clock analyzing everything they knew about the Zilani and the Vorthons. She discovered that the Zilani were remarkably similar to humans in many ways. They had families, created art, and loved their children. They had built a peaceful society based on learning and cooperation. The Vorthons were the opposite. They lived only for conquest and power. Their society was built on violence and the belief that the strong should rule over the weak. They had no interest in art, science, or beauty. They only wanted to take and destroy. "Captain," Dr. White reported during one of their daily briefings, "I've been studying the Vorthon battle tactics. They rely on overwhelming force and fear. They attack civilian targets first to break the enemy's will to fight. But they've never faced an enemy with technology equal to theirs." "Do we have equal technology?" Morrison asked. "Better than equal, sir. Our weapons are more accurate, our shields are stronger, and our ships are faster. The Vorthons have been winning through numbers and brutality, not superior technology." This gave Morrison hope, but he knew they were still outnumbered. Intelligence reports suggested the Vorthon fleet at Kepler 442 had over 40 ships. The humans only had 3. During the second week of their journey, they received another transmission from the Zilani. This time, it was High Counselor Zeth Ka himself. "To whoever may be listening, this may be our final message. The Vorthons have taken most of our world. Our people hide in caves and underground shelters. Our beautiful cities are ruins. But we want you to know that we do not give up. Hope. Somewhere in the galaxy, there must be others who believe that peace is better than war, that creation is better than destruction. If you exist, please do not let what happened to us happen to others." The message ended with music. It was unlike anything the humans had ever heard, but it was clearly beautiful. Even facing death, the Zilani were still creating art. Morrison found himself thinking about Earth and all the people there who had no idea what was happening. They lived their lives in peace, not knowing that their secret fleet was racing across space to fight humanity's first interstellar war. As the third week began, the ship started preparing for their return to normal space. The crew checked and rechecked every system. Weapons were loaded, shields were tested, and emergency procedures were reviewed. "Captain," Turner called out from his communication station, "I'm picking up something strange. It looks like we're getting signals from the Kepler 442 system, but they're not from the Zilani." Morrison felt his blood run cold. "Put it through." A harsh, mechanical voice filled the bridge. The words were in a different alien language, but the translation system made the meaning clear. "This is Admiral Krex Vor of the Vorthon Dominion. The planet below has been claimed for the Empire. Any who oppose us will be destroyed. This system is now under Vorthon control." The transmission was followed by what sounded like weapons fire and screaming. Morrison stood up from his command chair. "All hands battle stations. We drop out of jump in 12 hours, and when we do, we're going straight into a fight." Throughout the 3 ships, alarms sounded as the crews prepared for combat. Weapons were charged, armor was sealed, and final system checks were completed. The humans had trained for this moment, but none of them had ever faced real battle before. Dr. White approached Morrison with her final report. "Captain, based on the signals we're receiving, the Vorthons are in the final stages of conquering the planet. They're setting up permanent occupation forces. If we don't act soon, there may be no Zilani left to save." Morrison nodded. "Then we better make sure we're ready to hit them hard and fast." As the final hours counted down, Morrison walked through his ship, checking on his crew. They were nervous, but determined. They knew they were about to make history. Earth's children were going to war for the first time among the stars, and they were fighting for people they had never met. The bridge was quiet as the final minutes passed. Then Turner called out, "Dropping out of jump in 10 seconds. Morrison settled into his command chair and looked at the main screen. In a few moments, they would see the Kepler 442 system for the first time. They would see the Zilani homeworld and the Vorthan fleet that was destroying it. "Here we go," Morrison whispered to himself as space twisted around them one final time. The 3 human ships dropped out of jump space at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Captain Jake Morrison stared at the main screen in horror. What had once been a beautiful star system was now a graveyard. Debris floated everywhere. The remains of Zilani ships drifted in the darkness, their hulls torn open by Vorthan weapons. Several of the system's moons showed deep scars where mining operations had stripped away their surfaces. "My God," whispered Dr. Lucy White from her science station. "Look at the planet." The Zilani homeworld appeared on the screen. It should have been blue and green like Earth, but now large parts of it were brown and gray. Smoke clouds covered entire continents. The lights of cities that should have sparkled in the darkness were gone. "Captain," communications specialist Ben Turner called out, "I'm detecting 43 Vorthan ships in the system. Most of them are in orbit around the planet. They're conducting what looks like orbital bombardment." Morrison felt sick. The Vorthans were not just conquering the planet, they were destroying it completely. "Can you reach the Zilani?" "I'm trying, sir. Wait, I'm getting something. It's very weak coming from underground." A faint voice came through the speakers. "This is High Counselor Zeth Ka. We are in the deep shelters beneath Mount Kalar. Most of our people are dead. The Vorthans are hunting the survivors. Please, if anyone can hear this, help us." Morrison activated the communication system. "High Counselor Zeth Ka. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earth Fleet. We received your call for help. We are here." The silence that followed lasted so long that Morrison thought the connection had been lost. Then Zeth Ka's voice came back, filled with amazement. "You came, you actually came. We thought we were alone." "You're not alone anymore," Morrison replied. "We're going to get you out of this." Lieutenant Commander Lisa Grant looked up from her tactical station. "Captain, the Vorthan fleet is moving. They've detected us." On the screen, the enemy ships began to turn toward the human vessels. They were massive, ugly things built only for war. The largest one, obviously the flagship, was 3 times the size of the Defiant. "Sir," Grant continued, "I'm reading the energy signatures of their weapons. They're powerful but primitive compared to ours. They rely on brute force instead of precision." Morrison activated the fleet communication channel. "Vengeance, Justice, this is Defiant. Form up for attack pattern Alpha." "Copy that, Defiant," came Captain Sam Wright's voice from the Vengeance. "We're with you." "Justice here," added Captain Kate Thompson. "Ready to show these bastards what Earth thinks of bullies." The 3 human ships moved into formation. They looked tiny compared to the Vorthan fleet, but Morrison knew looks could be deceiving. Each human vessel carried more firepower than most planets had ever seen. "Captain," Turner reported, "I'm getting a transmission from the Vorthan flagship." "Put it through." A harsh alien voice filled the bridge. "Unknown vessels, this is Admiral Krexvor of the Vorthan Dominion. You are trespassing in claimed territory. Identify yourselves and prepare to be boarded." Morrison stood up and walked to the center of the bridge. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earth Fleet. You are hereby ordered to cease all hostile actions against the Zilani people and withdraw from this system immediately." The Vorthan Admiral's laughter was cold and cruel. "Earth? We have no record of such a world. You pilot 3 small ships against my fleet of 43. You are either very brave or very stupid." "You're about to find out which," Morrison replied, then cut the channel. "All ships, engage at will." The battle began when a patrol of 3 Vorthan destroyers moved to investigate the human ships. Captain Wright's Vengeance was the first to fire. Beams of pure energy lanced out from the human ship, striking the lead destroyer. The Vorthan ship exploded instantly. Its shields, designed to stop the crude weapons they were used to fighting, could not handle the focused power of human plasma cannons. The other two destroyers tried to run, but the Justice and Defiant destroyed them before they could escape. Impossible! Admiral Krexvor's voice came over the open channel. No ship has weapons that powerful. Morrison smiled grimly. You haven't met humans before. The main Vorthan fleet began to move toward the human ships. 40 vessels against 3. The odds should have been hopeless, but Morrison had trained for this his entire career. Helm, evasive maneuvers. Grant, target their heavy cruisers first. Sullivan, give me everything the engines have. The Defiant leaped forward, moving faster than any ship its size should have been able to. The Vorthan weapons fire passed harmlessly through the space where it had been moments before. Chief Engineer Pete Sullivan's voice came over the intercom. Captain, the new engine modifications are working perfectly. We can outrun anything they have. The human ships danced between the Vorthan vessels, their superior speed and maneuverability allowing them to avoid the enemy's attempts to surround them. Every time the humans fired, another Vorthan ship died. Sir, Grant reported, their targeting systems can't keep up with our movement. They're designed to fight slow, heavily armored opponents, not fast attack ships like ours. On the planet below, the surviving Zilani watched in amazement as the tide of battle turned. High Counselor Zethka's voice came over the communication channel. The sky is full of fire. The Vorthan ships are falling like leaves. Who are you? People? We're the ones who heard your call for help, Morrison replied while dodging another volley of enemy fire. And we don't abandon our friends. Admiral Krexvor's flagship, a massive dreadnought bristling with weapons, moved to engage the Defiant directly. I will crush you myself, the Vorthan commander snarled. You're welcome to try, Morrison replied. The two ships closed with each other, trading fire at close range. The Vorthan dreadnought's weapons were powerful, but they could not penetrate the Defiant's advanced shielding. Meanwhile, the human ship's precision weapons found weak points in the enemy's armor. Captain, Dr. White called out, I'm detecting massive structural damage to their flagship. Their power systems are failing. Morrison saw his chance. Grant, concentrate all forward weapons on their engine section. The Defiant's main guns fired as one, sending a concentrated beam of energy into the heart of the Vorthan flagship. The enemy ship's engines exploded in a chain reaction that tore the massive vessel apart. Admiral Krexvor's final transmission was cut short by the explosion. Around the battlefield, the remaining Vorthan ships began to retreat. They had lost over half their fleet, including their flagship and most experienced commanders. The survivors fled toward the edge of the system. Let them go, Morrison ordered his fleet. We have more important work to do. The 3 human ships moved into orbit around the Zilani homeworld. Below them, the battered planet began to heal as the survivors emerged from their shelters. High Counselor, Morrison called down to the planet. This is Captain Morrison. The Vorthan fleet has been defeated. Your world is free. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Across the planet, the surviving Zilani began to broadcast messages of joy and gratitude. They had been saved by strangers from the stars who had heard their cry for help and answered. Morrison looked around his bridge at his crew. They had done something no human had ever done before. They had fought and won humanity's first interstellar war. But more than that, they had saved an entire civilization from extinction. Sir, Turner reported, I'm getting messages from all over the galaxy. Word of the battle is spreading. Other civilizations want to know who we are. Morrison nodded. The secret was out now. Humanity could no longer hide in the shadows. They had announced themselves to the galaxy in the loudest way possible. But as he looked at the Zilani homeworld below, where an ancient and beautiful civilization would now have the chance to rebuild and thrive, Morrison knew they had made the right choice. 2 days after the battle, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the surface of the Zilani homeworld for the first time. The air was clean and sweet, though smoke still rose from distant fires. Around him, the ruins of what had once been a beautiful city stretched to the horizon. High Counselor Zethka walked beside him through the rubble. The alien leader was tall and graceful, with silver skin that seemed to shimmer in the light of the system's twin suns. His large dark eyes showed both sadness for what was lost and hope for what might come. This was our capital city of Velthar, Zethka explained as they walked past broken buildings. 2 million people lived here before the Vorthans came. Now we have found only thousands of survivors. Morrison felt the weight of those lost lives. They had arrived too late to save everyone, but at least they had prevented the complete destruction of the Zalani people. "We will help you rebuild," Morrison promised. "Earth has resources and technology we can share." Zethka stopped walking and turned to face the human captain. "Why?" he asked simply. "Why did you come so far to help people you had never met?" Morrison thought about the question for a moment. "Because it was the right thing to do. Because we heard you calling for help, and we couldn't ignore that call." The Zalani leader's eyes widened with something that might have been wonder. "In all our history, we have dreamed of meeting other intelligent beings among the stars. We imagined they would be like us, lovers of peace and knowledge. We never imagined they would be warriors who fight to protect the innocent. Above them, the UES Defiant hung in orbit like a guardian angel. Its sister ships, the Vengeance and Justice, patrolled the outer system to make sure no Vorthan ships returned. The immediate threat was over, but Morrison knew this was just the beginning." Communications specialist Ben Turner's voice came through Morrison's personal communicator. "Captain, we're receiving transmissions from all over the galaxy. It seems word of our victory has spread faster than we expected." Morrison touched his communication device. "What kind of transmissions?" "Some are congratulations from civilizations that have suffered under the Vorthans. Others are requests for help from worlds currently under attack. And sir, we're getting some messages that sound like threats." Morrison sighed. He had expected this. By revealing themselves and their capabilities, humanity had changed the balance of power in the galaxy. Not everyone would be happy about that. "Patch me through to Earth Command," Morrison requested. Within minutes, Commander Helen Roberts appeared on his portable communication screen. Behind her, Morrison could see the busy command center on Luna, where officers worked around the clock to coordinate humanity's new role in galactic affairs. "Captain, I've been monitoring the situation. How are the Zalani people?" Roberts asked. "Hurt but not broken," Morrison replied. "They're remarkable people, Commander. They've suffered terrible losses, but they're already working to rebuild. They want to share their medical and agricultural technology with us. That's good news. We're going to need allies for what's coming next. The Vorthan Dominion is mobilizing a revenge fleet. Our intelligence suggests they're gathering ships from across their empire." Morrison felt his stomach tighten. "How many ships?" "Over 200 vessels, Jake. They're not going to underestimate us again." The number was staggering. Even with their technological advantages, 3 human ships could not stand against such a force. "What are our orders?" "President Adams is sending reinforcements. The entire secret fleet is being activated. All 15 ships will rendezvous at your position within the month. We're also reaching out to other civilizations that have reasons to oppose the Vorthans." Morrison nodded. This was what they had always known would happen eventually. Once humanity revealed itself, there would be no going back to the shadows. Dr. Lucy White's voice came through his communicator. "Captain, you need to see this. The Zalani have something incredible to show us." Morrison made his way to the temporary camp that had been set up near the city ruins. There, a group of Zalani scientists was working with members of his crew around what looked like a large crystalline structure. Dr. White approached him with excitement in her eyes. "Captain, this is their quantum communication array. It can send messages instantly across the galaxy. No delay, no matter how far the distance." Chief Engineer Pete Sullivan looked up from where he was studying the alien technology. "Sir, if we could understand how this works, we could coordinate our forces across multiple star systems in real time. It would revolutionize space warfare." "Hi." Counselor Zethka joined them at the crystal array. "We offer this technology freely to those who saved our world. We are not warriors, but perhaps our knowledge can help you protect others as you protected us." Over the following weeks, more human ships arrived at Kepler 442. The secret fleet that had hidden in Earth's outer solar system for so long was finally revealed in all its power. 15 massive warships took positions throughout the system, turning it into an impregnable fortress. But the humans were not alone. Ships from other civilizations began to arrive as well. The Korath Republic, which had lost 3 colonies to the Vorthans, sent a squadron of fast cruisers. The peaceful ethereal collective contributed their advanced sensor technology. Even, some former Vorthan subject worlds rebelled and sent what ships they could. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Grant coordinated the growing fleet from her position aboard the Defiant. Captain, we now have ships from 17 different civilizations. It's the largest Allied fleet in galactic history. Morrison stood on his bridge, watching the diverse collection of vessels through the main view screen. Ships of every size and design floated in formation, united by their determination to stop the Vorthan advance. "Sir," Turner called out from his communication station, "I'm detecting a massive fleet approaching from the direction of Vorthan space. It's the revenge fleet we were expecting." On the screen, space itself seemed to darken as hundreds of Vorthan ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They formed a wall of metal and weapons that stretched across the system's edge. A transmission came through from the enemy fleet. "This is Supreme Admiral Thakrul of the Vorthan Dominion. You have interfered with our rightful conquest for the last time. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick." Morrison activated the fleet-wide communication channel. "All ships, this is Captain Morrison. Today we fight not just for the Zalani, but for every peaceful civilization in the galaxy. Today we show the universe that good people standing together can defeat any evil." The response came from every ship in the Allied fleet. Voices in dozens of languages all saying the same thing. They were ready to fight. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Vorthan fleet was massive and powerful, but the Allied forces fought with the strength that comes from defending something precious. Human ships led the charge, their advanced weapons carving through enemy formations. When it was over, the Vorthan Dominion had been broken forever. Their fleet was scattered, their leaders dead or fleeing. The empire that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries was finished. In the years that followed, the Kepler 442 system became the center of a new galactic alliance. The Zalani rebuilt their world with help from their human friends, creating cities even more beautiful than before. Earth's secret was revealed to the galaxy, and humanity took its place as protectors of the innocent. Captain Morrison often walked through the rebuilt Zalani capital, now called New Hope, in honor of the day the humans had answered their cry for help. In the city's central plaza stood a monument showing ships from many worlds flying together toward the stars. The inscription on the monument was simple but powerful. "When darkness falls, light will answer." Morrison knew it was true. Somewhere in the galaxy there would always be those who preyed on the weak, but there would also always be those willing to stand up and fight for what was right. The cry for aid had awakened Earth's warships, but it had awakened something else as well. The knowledge that good people were never truly alone.